Delegation, the shifting of authority and responsibility for particular functions, tasks, or decisions from one person, usually a leader or manager, to another.
Okay, it's not necessarily a scientific definition, but it serves our purposes. Okay, so shifting of responsibility, shifting of authority from leader to other. Okay, now delegation could be across. Delegation could even go up in some instances. I understand we have a lot of middle managers in our room, and so you're dealing with a dynamic both ways, or all three ways, depending on how you look at it, and depending on how big your organization is. Okay, so anything from the list on the board or on the screen that jumps out at you in terms of what delegation isn't? Any revelations there, or just things you think deserve attention or emphasis? Yes?
Punching away your weaknesses, that's definitely something that I'm like, I'm not good at paper files. So anytime I got an admin, I'm like, can you just handle this whole thing? I haven't learned how to manage it myself or how to explain to them how to manage it because I just avoid it.
So is there any pushback on not on what you said, but on the point that you chose? On the concept of punting away weaknesses, does anyone have a question or a thought as to why maybe that would be a good thing?
It might not be your strength and maybe somebody else's strength. Your time might be better focused on doing things that are
Right, I mean, you're familiar with this concept, right, in leadership, that you should focus on what you're gifted at and all of this, and we can't be all good at everything. If we try to be good at everything, we can't be really good at anything. But at the same time, when you delegate, it's not, as you see on a different point, it's not abdication. It's not like a complete removal of responsibility or taking myself, I just don't do, right? I do a lot of presentations on what's called growth mindset. You may be familiar with Carol Dweck, a professor of Stanford University. If you're not familiar, I would strongly encourage you to do some research. There's a book called Mindset. She published it, I'd like to say 12, 13 years ago at this point. I do a lot of it in schools for teachers working with students and with each other, et cetera, but it totally fits in organizational conversation as well. The idea that I could have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. So growth mindset is all about, I may not do it or have the ability to do it today, but my brain, even though it's technically not from a biological standpoint, it's not a muscle, but a brain can be built sort of like a muscle. Not that it gets bigger, but that the connections can be changed. Something called neuroplasticity, right? That we can adjust our brain and make ourselves more competent. Doesn't mean everybody can become the next great pick your person, okay? But it means that you can all grow in any particular area. Whereas a fixed mindset typically says, I'm not a math guy, right? I don't do technology. I can't figure out investing. I'm not a marketing person. So you have an organization where you need to market or you need to network or you need to whatever, but you have in your mind this conception of self that says, I can't do this. So yes, on the one hand, you want to find the right people to do those things to a better degree if they have expertise. On the other hand, you need to still find a way to stay involved and ensure the projects are being done and being done properly. So it's not abdication. Okay, anything else here that deserves attention before we move on? Yes?
I kind of balked at the distribution of tasks being what it isn't. I feel like you were trying to say it's not just giving someone tasks, it's handing over the responsibility of the task. I figure that's what you mean by that. But sometimes there's just too much to do, and they are individual tasks, and so I have to delegate them.
Right. So again, delegation, it's not so much that people don't take ownership of tasks. It's more like, imagine if you're kind of sitting around a table and everybody's pulling something out of the pot. You take this, and you take this, and you take this. That's what it isn't. In other words, it's not like you have your thing, I have my thing, we kind of distribute it. It's more, I'm still the leader, I'm still the delegator, I still have some responsibility for your oversight and for your achievement, but yes, you still could be the primary lead person on a given task or multiple tasks. Thank you for pointing that out and helping us clarify.